Welcome to Global Insider Talks. I'm Jeff Smith, Chief Operating Officer of Factum Global, and today I'm speaking with Douglas Hungerford, Senior Product Manager at PepsiCo, where he spearheads product strategy and management within PepsiCo's Global Strategy and Transformation Group, focusing on digital innovations and digital and data infrastructure. In this interview, we're going to delve into the intersection of technology and data analytics within one of the world's most iconic brands, PepsiCo. Our discussion will center around how Pepsi leverages AI-driven tools to optimize decision-making across forecasting, pricing, promotion, and revenue management. Joining us today from Miami, Doug will provide insights into his role and how data is instrumental in enhancing various aspects of PepsiCo's operations. Welcome, Doug.
Hey, thank you. Appreciate you having me.
Thanks.
Good to be here.
Thanks for being with us. So, by way of introduction, Doug, please, can you tell us a little bit more about your role at PepsiCo and how you're using data to help improve revenue management, among other things, for the company?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been with Pepsi about 6 years. I started in a contractor capacity at first, and then I slowly worked my way into the company just because I thought that what they were doing was very interesting. And from a global, digital transformation perspective, there was a lot of opportunity. Pepsi is traditionally, an analog kind of company where you have a lot of sales managers throughout the country that are dealing with their specific regions. And so you have a lot of opportunity for data collection, but that also means that you need to consolidate that, make sense of it, and then obviously try and improve and optimize your organization as a result of it. So that's kind of where I've been weaving in and out of different innovation positions, just trying to one, use data to leverage that and improve not only revenue but also improve sales on particular products, and then provide tools and services to sales managers, marketing managers to actually make informed decisions.
So we're going to get into that in a little bit. Are there particular brands within the PepsiCo family that you're focused on?
Yeah, so I've been focused on originally there was a direct consumer product called Drinkfinity that I started in on, and then I eventually wove into basically it was Gatorade GX because those are the same product lines essentially. That was on the e-commerce direct consumer side. Most recently, I've worked with SodaStream and SodaStream Professional. Those are basically not only the at-home products, but also equipment that's in the field that works with, professional placements, things like that. And then I've dealt with some tools, internal tools for pricing promotion.
Okay. Yeah, and we're going to talk about your work with SodaStream and sustainability and sort of the mix there. So this is fascinating to me that in almost real time, data in the field, in the stores, at the locations are being fed into the company, and you're getting to gather all of them and decipher what's going on. So tell us how you're using data to better inform the process strategies for PepsiCo. Well, can you break it down for us a little bit?
Yeah, there's a few ways. So one, you have your internal operations, right? You have not only ordering, purchasing, and fulfillment, you also have just sales forecasting and working with customers directly to make sure that they are constantly fulfilled with the product that they need. So that piece of it on the consumable side is, generally it takes a lot of data in order to make those informed decisions, even at the manual level, right? We have sales teams that traditionally have been taking in information from not only this product, but potentially other products that they've worked with, or from even the manufacturer or the fulfillment center directly, right? And trying to compile that and make the best estimate they can. And so those will feed into our operations in terms of how much product do we need for the next 6 months? When do we need to push out a line? And there's other things you need to consider in terms of like your actual manufacturing partner. How much quantity are they going to produce? What are their minimums? What are their lead times? And then how often can you change a line in case you have a large product SKU, right? So there's this big interconnected mix of information that is difficult for most sales managers to, try and compile that, compare that back with finance, make sure we have funding to support it, and then obviously paying out our vendors and getting that process going. So what we do is we've been able to take data from the field directly and be able to use machine learning to help us understand all of those data inputs and actually pump out with like 90% confidence based on basically what you're doing is you're using historical data, usually 12 months to 18 months of information,
Right.
and it's helping feed patterns. And you can see things like seasonality. You can see things like which customer mixes might impact this. So in the Southwest region, if you have a lot of, let's say, fulfillment centers versus you have like we deal with like Amazon warehouses, we deal with like Microsoft, offices and corporate locations. So all of that comes into play in terms of what mix of product goes where, what fulfillment centers they need to go to, and then how much product you needed when. And so luckily, like not luckily, but with some data science and some machine learning, we've now been able to automate some of that process. So we're taking in all this information and it's giving us a high confidence level on what those forecasts should be. And then you have a lot less cut risk, meaning you have a lot less waste risk on how much product you're producing because it doesn't sit in a warehouse, it doesn't not get shipped to the partners, and it's in the right fulfillment center to match that demand.
It really narrows the gap. And so Doug, so side impact of AI and machine learning, what is it doing to, how is it impacting the workforce at PepsiCo? Is this like a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Is there a way to see it as a good thing, or are people scared that
Yeah,
jobs are being replaced?
that I mean, from a fear perspective, in terms of like job security, there needs to be people that manage this process. Machine learning is not just a tool that spits out information without some data science and some data analysts on the back end of that. And it
Right.
also does nothing in terms of automation if you don't have sales leads speaking with our third parties, right? So our providers, our manufacturers, our fulfillment centers, there needs to be a communication chain to actually still continue to kick off these processes. Maybe in the future, we'll have a situation where you trust the output of
Right.
the algorithm enough that you say, hey, go ahead and make an automated order for me at these intervals. And then you reduce the amount of work on the sales team for that particular requirement, but then it opens up opportunities for them to go and do more of what really the sales force should be doing, which instead of creating forecasts, what would be better is if they were out making more leads and placing more product, right? So I think what it is enhancing the capabilities of your workforce, and that's what's important about I think a lot of these changes in technology is how do you support your workforce to get them to do what's most efficient for sales and opportunities.
Right, and that's a lesson for any company in any industry that's maybe tiptoeing around AI and machine learning, and trying to sort of get their feet wet. That's great. So I promised that we'd come back to SodaStream, and you're working on this project called Beyond the Bottle,
Yeah.
and eliminating single-use plastic. And this whole so we're sort of getting into the sustainability world a little bit. We're getting away from the tech theme of this conversation, but it's still really interesting. Talk to us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so Beyond the Bottle is an arm of PepsiCo that essentially is tasked with reducing the impact of single-use plastic by creating innovations and products and services that basically are more sustainable in nature. So in SodaStream, for instance, we are selling a proposition that is meant to have refillable bottles as part of the consumption trends. And we're also trying to, if you look at like Stanley's of the world and Hydro Flask and things like that, they have gone through 10x growth percentages over the last few years.
Those
So
are
you've got
the water bottle
water
companies.
bottles,
Yeah,
those personal water bottles.
yeah,
So you're seeing a trend in the consumers as well in terms of moving towards more sustainable options in their daily lives and taking that on the go with them. So how do you fulfill that need as well? So there's a two-pronged proposition here, which is one, you have a demand space that's shifting, and then two, you have basically an opportunity for PepsiCo to be part of the solution in addition to providing the convenience and standardization of product that you typically desire. So you can still get the same great value product that you expect from the brands while doing it in a fashion that basically is shifting with the behaviors of the consumer.
yeah. And joining sort of the global shift of sustainability and consumers trying to be more sustainable in their purchase options. Doug, we always leave the interview with a question where we ask our interviewees to give some advice to a global executive doing work internationally. So in this case, What is your advice for folks that are still sort of wrestling with how to incorporate data into their overall business strategies when working globally?
Yeah, so it is more difficult, obviously, on a global scale to try and aggregate information. One or two of those reasons are because of different regulations in different areas of the world. So, even for instance, from uh, let's say from a platform perspective, you need to know where you're hosting your data and how you're receiving it, because those are the type of infrastructure decisions that impact where you can actually pull in data from, what you can share it even internally to your own company, and then what you can use to leverage for advertising or for decision making. So there is a big difference globally in terms of what data protections and regulations are in place. So being really versed in that and just understanding the market before you just go ahead and jump into it and say, I'm going to collect the same data that I'm going to get in the US and it's going to work the exact same in Europe or in the Middle East or in China. It's not, those are not going to be completely consistent. You will have more, opportunities if you're able to figure that, nuance out, because then obviously you start to look at global trends, you start to see where new opportunity spaces are for innovation as well as for new market penetration. So there's a lot of benefits of it, but you need to know going in that it's not just a turnkey solution. If I have something in the US, I can automatically use that overseas. Not always the case. And in fact, there are a lot of things that you need to consider before you just take your solution that you have here and try and push it out somewhere else.
Very good advice, Doug. And doing your homework on the local market is a key to that. And we're constantly telling our clients that. So very, very good. Doug, that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for a great discussion. A perfect tie-in to our ongoing business sentiment survey that's in the field right now, all about tech, AI, machine learning, et cetera. So thanks very much for your time. And for more information about Factum Global, visit factumglobal.com. And thanks for joining us today.